In one of the debates, they asked about what tax we would like to get rid of. And of course, I had claimed that I had already addressed the subject of the income tax, and we took care of that rather easily. So I brought up the subject of the inflation tax. A lot of people don't quite understand that. How can you call this a tax? Well, when you spend beyond your means, you can tax so much, you can borrow so much, and then they still come up short, and then they print. That lowers the value of the money, and who suffers the most from the prices going up? Do the people in the government? No. The people in government, the politicians and the bureaucrats thrive on it because they spend the money first and the value of the dollar is still higher. As the money circulates, and of course the people who are mainstream, middle class, poor people get the inflation tax. Their prices go up. So truthfully, I believe their inflation right now, their cost, the loss they have to purchase power of their dollars, probably well over 10%. So somebody is literally stealing from them 10% of their hard-earned income every year. That's why they don't want the secret out of the bag, because this is the gimmick that they've been using and will continue to use. And it serves the interests of special groups. Let's say that you happen to be in the military-industrial complex, and the money gets spent first, and you happen to be a Halliburton or some other company. You get that money when it's still maintaining value, and they did not have to force more taxation. They just printed this money, so there's a tremendous benefit, and that's a transfer of wealth. The characteristic of inflation, the destruction of currency, is that it wipes out the middle class. All we have to think about is recent history in South America and Central America, and our next door neighbor, how destructive it has been to Mexico. Just think, if we wanted to deal with our problem of immigration, maybe if the Mexican government, and matter of fact, there's a move on in Mexico to have a sound currency and a healthy economy, that would do a lot to solve our problem here in the United States. But of course, if we don't deal with that problem of trade and immigration, and all our good jobs leave, and we have everybody coming here believing that we are prosperous, and we have a crisis, we really will have a job on our hands, because the entitlement system will not be able to be maintained. There's not enough working people, not enough young people to finance this perpetual entitlement obligation that we have. But the gold standard and the Federal Reserve, the lack of the gold standard, the Federal Reserve literally causes a business cycle. It sends out information and it's totally destructive. It causes interest rates to go lower than they're supposed to be, and without even having savings, which is a signal for people to invest, or a signal to spend or save or whatnot. We have no savings, essentially, and yet interest rates are low. In free market, if you had no savings, interest rates would be high and send out a certain signal to the business people on what they should do with investments. So the Federal Reserve sends out all this misinformation to our business people, but they can make money on the short run, and they can benefit by this transfer of wealth, so they don't really care about the business cycle and what might come 5 years or 10 years or 20 years down the road. They'll worry about that later on. But the inflation, the booms and the busts, the Great Depression, the inflation for wars, this is all none of this can happen without the Federal Reserve System, and more reason why we have to work to get rid of it. But one of the